This video is brought to you by Straight Goods News, Canada's alternative online news source. Visit straightgoods.ca.
Mr. Mulcair, you're supposed to have questions. You're supposed to be asking questions in question here, and yet you spent at least 2 occasions answering the attacks from the government. Are they getting your goat? Are they getting on your skin?
No, I think that this is an important debate. In leadership, we said that we wanted to have a debate in Canada about the type of development for the future. Right now, the Conservatives have a policy of allowing companies in the West to get away with not obeying Canadian legislation. So my debate is not with any provincial government in the West or anywhere else. My debate is with the Conservative government that's consistently failing to enforce Canadian legislation, federal legislation, the Navigable Waters Act, the Fisheries Act, the Migratory Birds Act, federal obligations with regards to First Nations, federal obligations with regards to cumulative health effects. So these are the things that they're allowing the companies to avoid enforcing. That's allowing them to have an artificially high number of US dollars flowing in, pushing the Canadian dollar higher. That has destabilized the Canadian economy. We've lost 500,000 good-paying manufacturing jobs since the Conservatives came to power. We're losing the balanced economy we had built up since the Second World War. So we have a vision of sustainable development that opposes their vision of unbridled development with no polluter pay. Polluter pay is the essential principle that is being avoided right now by those companies, and we want to have this debate on sustainable development.
By answering their attacks in question period, you're letting them suffer.
Boost manufacturing.
Well, actually, that's not true. And if you look at the RARPP report from yesterday, if you look at the other report that was published by 3 very respected economists, one from the University of Ottawa, one from Amsterdam, and the other one from Luxembourg, very clear that Canada is undergoing what is often called in textbooks the Dutch disease. We're seeing the hollowing out of our manufacturing and indeed of all our export sectors because the Canadian dollar is now being maintained artificially high. Why artificially high? Because the number of US dollars flowing in is too high because we're not forcing companies to internalize the environmental costs. If they don't have to pay for the pollution now, we're leaving that on the backs of future generations, and we're also leaving them with the obligation to clean up the air, the soil, and the water. See, that's the basic problem with the way we're developing the oil sands. So we're not against developing the oil sands, far from it. I've always been very clear on that as well. But we want sustainable development, all of the objective information available, and I invite you to read the article that I published in Policy Options, which gives the exact statistics from Statistics Canada on the hollowing out of our manufacturing sector. You'll learn a lot.